Welcome to Earth Common Journal, The Launch Pod, where we invite authors, dignitaries, and guests to discuss our annual theme in an on-the-ground podcast series. In Volume 8, we discuss the shift of climate change to climate adaptation. We're your hosts, Jacqueline Ohm
and Cole Kosh.
And this is The Launch Pod. In this episode, we speak to Meg Hoyland, author of the article Global Warming Hype in Volume 8 and communications major at MacEwan University. So what is the article that you featured?
It's Global Warming Hype. It's all about like the rhetoric used in like climate change or denial Facebook groups.
It's funny, Claire was just before you and she brought up your article as a point of conversation. So you can definitely use your article as a exploration on your thoughts when it comes to climate change and climate adaptation. If you want to talk about your article in relation to that, or just your thoughts in general, maybe even after this whole launch party that we had.
Well, climate adaptation, I based like the article off of, it was originally supposed to be on like a rant and rave of like my hometown Facebook group, but I was like, that's too personal, I can't do that. So then I found other Facebook groups, but I think climate adaptation, it just kind of falls back to like small towns, and like there's people that like they don't believe in climate change in these small towns, but we're still having to adapt to it. So it's a little difficult.
Yeah, I looking through your article and seeing the little screen captures from different Facebook users, and there's this one user who's just looks like just a sweet old grandmother, like with her grandchild in the picture as well too, and her comments were I guess it was interesting to see like what is your stereotype of what someone's going to say and believe, and you can't really necessarily guess that. Everybody has their opinions and such like that, but that's so interesting is that it's, I don't know, I feel like social media shows you, I don't know if it's the true side of each person, but a different side. It kind of breaks down stereotypes, but then builds them back up.
Yeah, definitely.
Like small town mentality or big city.
Global village.
Global village. What was the most surprising thing that you found doing your article?
It was basing like all these arguments on like single people. So like a lot of it kind of came back to, if we like think about it, like in like Alberta, it was a lot of it tied back to, oh, Rachel Notley, this is all her fault. And then like in America, it was all like AOC's fault. And then a lot of sorry, lost my train of thought.
Well, let's see, like what do you think would help people in Facebook comment sections, such as the one that you overviewed with Friends of Science, that would help them to come to understand different opinions? What do you think would help?
Ultimately, I think you need like some open communication where someone who knows how to talk about climate adaptation, climate change, and is willing to go in there unbiased, not ready to attack people, and just have that conversation. But I found that it's hard in these climate change Facebook groups because they're such like in a vacuum. They're like, this is what's right, I am not listening to you. So it's difficult because someone needs to go into those platforms and kind of just have that open dialogue, no bias.
I think there's opportunity for an interesting article that a student could write by going into said Facebook sections, papers and pages, and trying to see if they could do that.
Yeah.
And what strategies might work, and the people that they talk to. Because climate adaptation, or the conversation around climate change and climate adaptation, is what are we doing about it? Yeah. As far as being past the whole blame game, sure, there's people who, may be larger instigators, but what is it that we're doing about it? And I think just how we have the conversation around it is, what are we doing about it so that if we don't all agree, at least we can come to understand each other's differing opinions or facts, or just being curious.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So perhaps we could expect an article next year, because our theme next year is influence.
Okay.
So how do we influence regarding conservation, sustainability, and climate adaptation? And social media is a lot about influence and conversation, and how one individual actor might go in and influence possibly a change, or at least being like, I'm not going to be mean to you. That's the thing. You may not believe me, but I'm going to show you that we don't have to be mean to each other.
Definitely.
Right?
That was definitely a problem that always came across. People always started to just get mean, and it became less about finding a common ground and just insulting each other on these Facebook groups.
Well, and I feel a lot of people you forget that it's a person that you're talking to, right?
100%.
You just see the wall of text and you cannot identify it, and, it just becomes such an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so much harder. Like, let's say if the comment section was happening in this podcast room, and so all the people that you were talking to were sitting with you, but
yeah, you
like
wouldn't have nearly
here.
as much of the yelling and anger, right?
Exactly. So, right, but a different form of communication.
Yeah.
And like, what does social media take away or contribute at the same time?
Because I'm sure even you guys have read an email where you were like, this seems snarky. But it's just like, it might have not been meant to be at all. It's just the way you're reading it in the moment, right? Like there's no extra context added to it.
It's always that dreaded capital K. If someone you're texting, like, do you want to go to this place? And they're like, K. And my mom's the perpetrator of this. And she would never be snarky about that, but she loves using it. And I'm like, I've had to talk to her and say, I don't know why capital K does that. To me, at least.
Yeah,
I don't know if anybody else has that, but I'm like, maybe amongst like her generation, it's not a big deal. But I'm like, I don't know.
Did she send you the K, and you're like, are we okay? Is everything fine?
No,
are you upset
I knew
with me
things
about
were okay,
something?
but I had to talk to her and just say, just in case, like that. Why does it come off aggressive? It's so funny.
It does, though. I know people, like my little sister does that on purpose. Like she's like, I will 100% just send a K with a period just to be show that I'm pissed off.
Yeah,
so.
I've done that.
See, it's a reality.
Yeah, it's a thing.
Well, we'll wrap it up at this, but I think you do have a bit of a nudge to what you might be able to do.
Yeah.
And again, it's fine if you don't get in for the next volume, but it doesn't even have to be in an article. It could be in a podcast series, a conversation about the journey through comment section. That would be not only entertaining, but
yeah, you
very
could just
enlightening.
go through comments with people and then talk about it. It would be great.
Yeah.
Right, I'm live commenting on Facebook right now. I'll tell you how it's going.
Yeah, actually, that would be great.
Yeah.
Just think about the possibilities.
Yeah,
so.
definitely.
Well, thanks for contributing to Volume 8. It's been such a success, and I hope you go on the website and check out your article.
Yeah, we checked it out. It was really awesome.
Yes, great. And who knows, more could be there if you want to contribute.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks again. Thank you for listening to Earth Common Journal's The Lodge Pod. I've been Jacqueline Ohm,
I've been Gold Kosh.
and stay tuned for our next episode.